I'm back. What's good, everyone? Good morning. I am your guy, the sports judge. This time I'm here to break down week 4 of the NFL games, give you guys a breakdown and recap the Sunday game slate. The night wrapped up with the Chiefs and the Jets. Taylor Swift was in the house. You had Aaron Rodgers in the building. This was a game that had blowout written all over it. I thought for a second the Jets were about to get demolished. They took the run away from the Chiefs early, and that was evident by a terrific comeback. Turns out the game was better than I thought. It was a pretty exciting game. After the Chiefs put up 17 points, the Jets offense turned it on. Very physical approach out of the Jets. There is suddenly a feeling of renewed energy and optimism surrounding the team. Maybe Zach Wilson could be what they hoped, what the Jets had anticipated. His performance thus his best performance thus far, you can say. I thought he actually outplayed Patrick Mahomes. When you look at the game, I feel like he played with more confidence last night and with a sense of urgency. This was a night where he had some promising moments, and that's an encouraging sign if you're a Jets fan. That's what you want to see because he's your only option right now. Against the best quarterback in the league, Wilson had a fantastic effort. Last week, this wasn't the story, right? He looked terrible. Everyone was calling him out. Everybody was ready for Robert Saleh to bench him. Angry fans were calling for Saleh's job because he defended his quarterback. This team was scrapping and fighting. I mean, Wilson was delivering dimes, firing darts. What's that one play where he threw a perfect fade throw? He had a really good game. I think he had a really, really good game. And I think it's important to reflect on it and feel good about it. Not the performance I predicted. I thought Zach Wilson would have another terrible week. I had counted him out. Just a week ago, Zach Wilson was trash. He became sort of the scapegoat. And this rally, despite the loss to the Chiefs, was certainly encouraging. This is something the Jets can build on. I was really impressed with how Wilson played last night. No, I get it. No, there's nothing fancy about him. He doesn't do anything special. His name is not Patrick Mahomes. Perhaps the one thing that stood out to me last night on his stat line is 0 interceptions. He threw no interceptions. That's that's good for him. The difference was he cleaned up his mistakes. He played phenomenal. A national television audience was watching Wilson outduel Mahomes, who didn't really play well. He lofted 2 interceptions, but Mahomes on a bad night still made big plays when it mattered the most. He still was able to make big plays. And that's what makes him such a great player. That's what great players do. On a 3rd and 22, after the fumble recovery, the Jets got no pass rush, and eventually Mahomes ran straight ahead for 24 yards. That was a gut punch for the Jets. Strong game by Wilson, gritty effort by the Jets, but no moral victories. Run defense was horrendous, and penalties killed them. We've seen, without question, the best drive of Wilson's NFL career, shockingly. I couldn't believe it. He played really well. It takes games like Sunday to fully appreciate Zach Wilson. Now, this game ended in controversy. Fans were furious after a controversial call. There was no holding there. I mean, obviously, there was no holding. That was a very bad call. Did the refs hand the Chiefs the game? I never like to say the refs help a team, but the Chiefs managed to escape a feisty Jets team that didn't quit. I spent a lot of time talking about the the Chiefs and the Jets. Next up, I want to dive into the Broncos Bears game. It's a struggle. It's brutal. Bad losses. This is a Bears franchise. Excuse me. This is a Bears franchise in absolute shambles. It's hard to win football games, especially for this team. They're still winless, and yet the only thing they know how to do well is find a way to make fans annoyed and even depressed. It is depressing times in Chicago. It's very tough to be a Bears fan. The Bears have fallen on hard times. I can't remember the last time they won a game. Their losing ways continued on Sunday as they fell 31-28 to the lousy and laughable Broncos to drop to 0-4 to start the 2023 season. I mean, did any of us see this coming? Because we really overhyped the Bears. We believed in the Bears coming into this season. Can it get any worse? It's bad, really bad. Justin Fields can't navigate a play. Luke Getsy can't scheme an offense. Matt Eberflus can't coach a team. Ryan Poles can't assemble a roster. I mean, what can the Bears do well? What have they done? The defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, resigned. That's when you know the team is in a crisis, is in crisis mode. I think Justin Fields deserves a better roster around him. I'm not ready to say he's a bust. Yes, he was terrible at processing things quickly and getting the ball out fast, but it's easy and lazy to blame the offensive struggles on Fields when it's an organizational issue. I get it. The quarterback shoulders most of the blame because it's the most demanding position. But Justin Fields went 28 of 35 for 335 yards and threw 4 touchdowns. The Broncos are officially in the wins column. Make no mistake, the Broncos are a poor NFL team, but showed on Sunday that they are actually better than the Bears. Finally notched the first win of the Sean Payton era. Chicago has a 14-game losing streak. I picked the Bears to win at home. I was wrong. First and foremost, the Broncos seemed to have a losing mentality. Nobody was being held accountable. No leadership. They were coming off of a week where they gave up 70 points against the Miami Dolphins. So, I thought they would lose after giving up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins in a 50-point loss. That was embarrassing. And, to win in the NFL, you can't have a give-up attitude. This was supposed to be the year Wilson, year 12 in the NFL, looked rejuvenated. Being embarrassed in front of the national media and being embarrassed in front of the nation was a motivating factor. Their effort was fueled in part because of their terrible week last week. Their effort was fueled in part because they were deflated and defeated after a poor showing on the field last Sunday. That said, it was a different scenario and outcome on Sunday. Wilson looked at times more promising than maybe most predicted. Certainly not as good on paper. Wilson was brilliant in the second half. I thought Denver controlled the second half. And, Wilson is looking to prove that he can carry this team. He did on Sunday. I thought he provided the most inspiration in the 4th week of the NFL. I applaud Wilson for putting this team on his back. I mean, he was on fire in the second half. So happy for him to get his first win this season with the Broncos. I mean, finally you can say you're in the wins column. But I gave the Broncos no chance. I was dead wrong. Wilson looked absolutely sharp. He was superb. Wilson hit Cortland Sutton for a 13-yard touchdown with 9:36 left in the fourth quarter, cutting Denver's deficit to 28-21. You saw a more animated Wilson. He pumped his fist emphatically 3 times. This was the best he's played, too. I would say. 2 of Wilson's touchdowns came in the second half, and his 48-yard pass to Marvin Mims on Denver's go-ahead drive set up Lutz's game-winning field goal. Wilson was poised in the pocket. He looked comfortable in the pocket, accurate on the run, and in complete command as Denver's offense found life in the second half. With 9 touchdown passes, Wilson is already only 7 shy of his entire 2022 total. The Broncos still have a long way to go after picking up their first win of the season. But hey, you got to start somewhere. But Wilson continued improvement is the biggest positive to build on. If the Broncos still hope to make something out of this season, let's see if this season is salvageable. I doubt it. I don't think it is. Denver's defense responded pretty well. The first 3 quarters were largely a nightmare for the Broncos on defense, but the defense came up with 3 huge plays in the fourth quarter to support Wilson's brilliant comeback. First, with Denver trailing 28-21, Nick Bonito sacked Fields and forced a fumble. Cooper, a teammate of Fields at Ohio State, picked up the ball and returned it for a game-tying touchdown. Then, with the game tied at 28-28 and the Bears facing a 4th and 1 at the Broncos' 18-yard line with about 3 minutes left, Alex Singleton stormed into an inside gap and tackled Khalil Herbert for no gain. So the Broncos responded with a drive that ended in Lutz's go-ahead field goal. The defense looked better. Finally, on the Bears' last-ditch drive, Kareem Jackson intercepted Fields' pass over the middle to end the game. Ball game, game over. Let's make the transition now to our next topic. Raiders, Chargers. Once again, with the Raiders, too many mistakes, mental lapses, and bad coaching. Bad coaching is the big word. The big one. The big word, keyword, bad coaching. Different week, same results, another loss. The front office needs to strip it down and go into a proper rebuild. Different quarterback, same issues. This was all coaching, absolutely horrendous. What is Josh McDaniels doing running the most predictable plays? I just don't get it. No reason to try to throw the ball. Run the ball. I can't understand this. My God, excuses have run out. The torture continues. Another game without a win. No blaming Jimmy G. You can't blame Jimmy G. He didn't play. This falls on Josh McDaniels, whose seat is hot. This is an atrocity. McDaniel's system is proven to be awful. He can thank Tom Brady for landing a coaching job. Clearly, Brady seems to be why he's great. Made him look good. Then he throws Aiden O'Connell under the bus. Playing quarterback in our league starts with taking care of the football, McDaniels tells reporters during postgame. Being a head coach in this league starts with good play calling. It was O'Connell's first NFL start, most notably. You can't just expect him to come in there and be this top-level quarterback. That said, O'Connell wasn't sharp in this game. there were 3 fumbles that led to 2 Raiders turnovers. It was a learning moment. Mostly, he deserves credit for rallying his team in the second half to give them a chance to tie the game. I thought he showed fight and made a handful of encouraging plays. If anything, he did well considering he had a big body in his face. Khalil Mack was getting after him, recording 6 sacks, and the Chargers ended with 7 as a team. But on what would be the Raiders' last offensive play, O'Connell throws an interception. It was first and goal from the 3-yard line on O'Connell's interception. The Raiders lost this game thanks to their coach. It's all on McDaniel's play calling. Jacobs had been rolling, no reason to call that play. Fans are right to question the play call. It was a terrible play call. There are no words for this. Now we're moving on to the next topic, which is the 49ers. Week in and week out, the San Francisco 49ers continue to show why they are the best team in the NFC. To briefly recap, Christian McCaffrey went ballistic. Name me a better running back in the league right now. I'll wait. He is a player who is tough to bring down because of his speed, his stamina, his ability to stay on his feet and hurdle over bodies. It was like he had a cheat code or something, because what he was doing against the Arizona Cardinals was what you would see in a video game. It wasn't fair what he did to the Cardinals defense. The way he was running was like, wow, nobody can stop this man. I think it was on full display Sunday. And listen, Christian McCaffrey is staking an early claim to being the first non-quarterback since Adrian Peterson in 2012 to win the award. We are simply talking about him, watching him show off his athleticism. His monstrous performance puts him in conversation. The MVP usually goes to a quarterback, but if McCaffrey continues at his current trajectory, I don't see why he wouldn't win the MVP honors. He's just built that way. Having a guy like McCaffrey plays to the 49ers' strengths. He fits in really well in Kyle Shanahan's system. That's one of the reasons the 49ers have been so remarkable. Every time you watch him, you know what you're getting from McCaffrey. Niners win the game 35-16, but I felt the Arizona Cardinals played good football as well. Obviously, they lost the game, but Arizona hasn't been as bad as its record suggests. The Cardinals kept Sunday's game against arguably the best team in the league close until the fourth quarter. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. That was impressive, and they should have won their first 2 games against the Commanders and the Giants. It didn't happen. Quarterback Joshua Dobbs is making plays with his arm and legs. The schemes on both sides of the ball are creative and productive. The defensive front has been getting consistent push. So, I mean, hey, the Cardinals look good. Okay, we're moving on to the Cowboys-Patriots game. The boys are back. The Cowboys looked far better than they did a week ago. Dak Prescott had his best game of the season so far, completing 28 of 34 passes for 261 yards and a touchdown. Tight end Jake Ferguson had a game-high 77 yards on 7 receptions, while receiver CeeDee Lamb racked up 36 yards and a touchdown on 4 catches. Them boys dominated the Patriots 38-33, Belichick's largest loss ever. After the game, Belichick wasn't happy. Look, if my quarterback played like that, I wouldn't be in a good mood either. It was another sluggish effort with Mac Jones turning the ball over and struggling to move the ball downfield. The guy doesn't have a lot of arm talent. Maybe the weakest arm for all quarterbacks in the league. He has no arm, has below average arm strength, and doesn't really have high end physical traits. If you don't have some ability outside or vertically, you're not going to have much success in this league. I'm sorry. You're just not going to have much success. When he has to make big plays, he can't make big plays. He's not capable of doing that. And that's why he was pulled in the third quarter. This is going to happen to a quarterback like Mac Jones when you're facing an athletic, pressure and pursuit defense like the Cowboys. You're limited on what you can do. You're going to make mistakes. This was clearly the worst game of Jones's NFL career. A lost fumble and 2 interceptions. The wheels finally fell off. A banged up Patriots defense. The offense is already a mess. Bad loss. One bad loss. It was terrible. One of the worst games by the New England Patriots. One of the games that shocked me real quick before I wrap this up was the Buffalo Bills. Bills big over the Dolphins 48-20. They sent a reminder in a win over the Dolphins, a team that scored 70 last week. Still has some big plays, but Josh Allen was getting it done with his arm and feet, showing off his versatility. After that week 1 clunker, this is 3 dominant performances from the Buffalo Bills. The defense looks amazing. Allen looks brilliant. He was efficient and physical as hell. Sometimes we know he can be reckless and a turnover machine, but clearly one of the best when he plays clean. We were ready to bury him, but he turned it on. Incredible throws. Allen was perfect. 5 touchdowns, 350 yards, 84% completion. With his performance, it was kind of a reminder to everybody, hey, don't forget about us. All right, everyone, it's been real. I'm checking out of here now. Have a great Monday, everyone. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, as always. I appreciate y'all. Have a good Monday. Take care, everyone.